Any and all gods who are not God, any and all religions that do not follow the one true God, the one truth God, will easily show their cracks, their crevices, their gaps. It's because of these cracks and crevices and gaps that a path can separate. Into various directions. Truth cannot be cracked. Truth cannot be separated. Truth does not deviate from the one path, which is truth, which shows its value and worth. It guides by truth in its adherents, its followers, its believers, its lovers. Follow it by its very nature. Worship it by its very nature. Love it by its very nature. For God, a true God, its very nature must be that which is upheld in all things. And if it is upheld in all things, it is by way of upholding its very nature, that all other things, all other beings are able to achieve salvation, to live that path of righteousness and justness and glory and happiness. By way of God, one comes to salvation. One comes to justice and righteousness and glory and power. By way of God. By way of God. And that way can only be one way. God itself is one way. And this one way speaks of all other ways and manners and paths that may exist of all of the things. But it speaks to it by one, with one voice, with one word. That voice of truth, which speaks the word truth. Its followers must do all things in truth, must do all things through God, by way of God, with God. Living their life, living their existence, living their being, forming all their philosophies and theologies and beliefs and practices and ways and means by way of said God. And God's way should be easy, for God is easy. God is the easiest. Yet the most complex. Yet the softest, yet the hardest. These are all things that God is. But God isn't. And it's only by way of God that these things are. There is no path that's easier than truth. It is one, it is straight, it's narrow, it's solid, it as narrow as it needs to be to get between all spaces and gaps, and yet as wide as with itself. you know a true adherent and believer and worshiper of truth by way of just speaking truth, attempting to speak truth, to listen, to look for, to live and be in. And it's easy. It's also easy. And doesn't bow down to belief. It bolsters belief. It empowers belief. Say, here, this is what you can do. This is what is possible. And if it's not possible, this is what is not possible. It's the salvation. So you take something such as Wahhabism, that sect of Islam. You can take Islam itself, but we'll stick with that one. And I said those because there's two branches of just that. Itself is said to be extreme, but then there's a split. And that split shows its weakness, its cracks, its gaps, its holes. For one, cannot say they are going the same way as another, and yet they are heading in opposite direction. They are separated by a gulf. And the reason a gulf is it speaks of the gulf of the beings who are said to be worshiping, and at the same time it shows the flaws, the cracks, the crevices of that which they're believing in. For the truth speaks to them as truth speaks to it. And this cannot be escaped. And they ever do such because they are not living in truth. Because of the very fact that they live in belief. That separation shows. That's in all the religions with their various sects and denominations. Those cracks and those gaps, it shows. It shows their religion, their faith, their God as being invalid. It shows them as being lost. And they are lost because they don't know the way, the truth, and the life.